After weeks filled with speculation and intense pressure in the MotoGP paddock, the mystery behind Marc Marquez's performance with Ducati is finally beginning to reveal a surprising breakthrough. A crucial finding that had long remained hidden has now been uncovered, and its impact is already being felt, not only by the team, but also across the competitive landscape of this season, which could shift dramatically. So what exactly has been the key issue holding Marc Marquez back? And could this mark the turning point for his resurgence with Ducati? Let's discuss. All eyes were on Marc Marquez as the 2026 United States MotoGP round took place at the Circuit of the Americas. This track is far from ordinary for Marquez. It's his territory, a place where he has dominated for years and seemed nearly untouchable. However, this season tells a very different story. Instead of showcasing absolute superiority, Marquez appeared more human. There was no overwhelming dominance, no full control from the start. What emerged instead was a struggle, an ongoing process of adaptation, along with clear signs that something still wasn't quite right. Marquez's issues had already begun to surface during the free practice sessions. He suffered a crash and admitted to losing feeling in the front end of the bike. In MotoGP, a lack of confidence in the front is one of the most critical problems a rider can face. This situation prevented him from braking at his maximum potential and reduced his aggressiveness when entering corners. The consequences were clear: inconsistent lap times and a noticeable drop in confidence. The situation worsened during the sprint race. What should have been a golden opportunity to collect valuable points instead turned into a costly setback. A minor mistake on track resulted in a penalty, and in MotoGP, penalties are far more than just routine consequences. They often become decisive factors capable of disrupting an entire race strategy that has been carefully planned throughout the weekend. Heading into the main race, the pressure on Marc Marquez intensified as he was required to serve a long lap penalty. The impact was immediate and significant. Valuable time was lost, positions dropped instantly in the midst of fierce competition, and his race rhythm was compromised from the very beginning. This forced him to adapt quickly under far from ideal conditions. While his rivals were able to surge ahead and build an early advantage, Marquez had to face a harsh reality, essentially restarting his race from the back. In a competition of this level, such a situation is not only physically exhausting, but also a true test of mental resilience and strategic execution. Despite the adversity, Marquez demonstrated remarkable determination. He refused to give up. Gradually, he found his rhythm and began overtaking riders one by one. From a far from ideal position, he managed to climb back up to finish fifth. At first glance, this result may seem ordinary. However, when considering the context, the penalty, physical condition, and technical issues, it actually highlights the extraordinary fighting spirit that defines Marquez. The most intriguing moment came after the race. Marquez openly admitted that the main issue did not lie entirely with the Ducati Lenovo team's bike. He acknowledged that he himself was part of the problem. This kind of admission is extremely rare for a world champion. Typically, riders tend to point to external factors such as the bike, tyres, or track conditions. However, Marquez chose introspection, signalling that the battle he is facing is far more complex. One key factor has now come to light: his physical condition. The shoulder injury Marquez suffered in the past still appears to have lingering effects. This perspective is reinforced by Andrea Dovizioso, who believes that Marquez's performance is not solely about adapting to a new bike. There are physical limitations preventing him from performing at his peak consistently. In MotoGP, even the smallest details can have a massive impact on the final result. A slight delay in applying the throttle when exiting a corner can immediately cost a rider positions that were hard-earned. Minor instability while the bike is in the cornering phase can quickly escalate into a fatal mistake, potentially ending in an incident or even a crash. On the other hand, even a slight drop in a rider's physical condition can affect performance consistency throughout a race that demands intense focus and endurance from start to finish. The combination of these factors highlights just how thin the line is between optimal performance and costly errors at the highest level of motorcycle racing. In this context, The situation currently faced by Marc Marquez appears to reflect exactly that challenge, where the accumulation of small details is beginning to have a significant impact on his performance on track. While Marc Marquez is still working to find his best rhythm, rivals such as Marco Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin have come out on fire from the very first lap. They display a highly aggressive yet controlled racing approach, maintaining consistent lap times, reading every opportunity on track, and cleverly exploiting even the smallest gaps to overtake or extend their lead. This advantage allows them to build a significant gap from the early stages of the race, creating additional pressure for Marquez, who is still adapting to the race pace and conditions. The impact becomes especially evident when Marquez begins to find his optimal performance in the middle of the race. Although his speed improves and he is able to match the front runners, the time gap that has already formed is simply too large, making any comeback effort far more difficult, almost impossible to complete by the end of the race. Behind the scenes, pressure is also coming from within the Ducati Lenovo team. Expectations for Marquez are extremely high, yet the results have not fully met those expectations. MotoGP observer Carlo Pernat has even suggested that Ducati needs to carry out an immediate evaluation. A bike that is theoretically competitive has not yet fully clicked with Marquez's riding style. This situation creates a striking irony on track. Ducati has long been known as a dominant machine, with technical performance capable of delivering a competitive edge across various circuits. On the other hand, Marc Marquez carries the reputation of an extraordinary rider, with experience, racing instinct, and a champion's mentality proven at the highest level. Despite the results not being perfect, race data reveals something important. Marquez is still fast. He remains capable of aggressive overtakes, maintaining a competitive pace, and fighting within the front group once he finds his rhythm. This means the issue is not a loss of ability, but rather a lack of synchronization between physical condition, the bike, and mental readiness. At the moment, Marquez's 2026 season feels like an incomplete puzzle. Several pieces still need to come together. Full physical recovery, complete adaptation to the Ducati bike, consistency from the start of the race, and confidence in every corner. This is the part that should worry his rivals the most. Marquez is not yet at his best, yet he is still capable of finishing in the top 5. Imagine if his physical condition is fully restored, his feeling with the bike is perfect, and his race rhythm is stable from the first lap. What would return to the track would not just be a competitive rider, but the dominant force that once ruled MotoGP for years. Now the question is no longer if he will return to the top, but when it will happen, and who will be the first to fall when the monster truly returns. Share your thoughts below